Hey guys, it's Derek. Showing you today how I normally do chicken stock. So, first off, I don't do it the same as everybody else. So if you have any concerns about how I do it, I've been doing it this way for years. Kind of a variation on how I learned to do it when I was working in restaurants. I was a cook in restaurants for a number of years. So with that, we'll get into it. I don't use any whole pieces of chicken meat for mine. This is 4 chicken carcasses. It's the wing tips and all the bones and whatever I couldn't get off with my knife. I buy my chickens whole. It's cheaper that way. I'll do a video at some point kind of showing you what all you can get off of a chicken. It makes a lot more sense to do it that way than to buy a case of breasts, a case of drums, a case of thighs. It just makes more sense. You can do more with it. So I got these. Once I think there's 4 in here, 4 or 5. But once I get 4 or 5 chickens worth of stuff, I get it out of here. First, this is a broiler pan. You can use just about any pan that you want. What I do first, before I get anything else going, is I put the chicken in here with a little oil, a little salt, and put it into roast. Now this will give you more flavor in your final stock. It also kind of breaks down some of the tissues a little bit. So you don't necessarily have to let it simmer on the stovetop all night. At least I don't feel like it's necessary. So we've got a little olive oil. You don't want to put a ton in here, like I just did. But okay, so a little paper towel. Make sure this gets coated pretty good, because there's a little bit of everything in here. There's a little bit of muscle, little skin, little bone, so stuff tends to stick to the bottom. Okay. Excuse me. Now, if you have any other, a lot of people, they'll use fresh vegetables for this kind of stuff. You can throw that in with this stuff too. It'll add more flavor to it, more body. But I'm doing it a little different, and I'll show you in a little bit. So what you want to do is throw everything in there. Some of this is still a little frozen, but that's okay. Go ahead and I mean, this is mainly the main bodies of the chickens. If you debone all your chicken, you can add the bones to that. But yeah, I'm also adding the wing tips. More often than not, I actually use the whole wing when I'm doing this. But happened that I had a buddy that wanted the wings. I don't like wings. I worked in bars for a number of years, and they all did wings, and I was always on fryer. I don't have any interest in wings anymore. So yeah, we'll get that out of the way. Okay, once you get everything rearranged, ready to go, you'll want to season it. I usually season this pretty heavy. That's just me. Which you got to keep in mind, this is going to get roasted, and the juices are going to get rid of some of that salt. And then you're going to be putting it in a stock pot to simmer for a long time. So by the time it's all said and done, while this may seem like quite a bit of salt, not all of it's going to make it into the final stock. But yeah, So this is going to go in. I've got the oven set to 350. They'll probably be in there anywhere between half an hour, 45 minutes. They don't have to cook completely. They just have to get that roasted taste to them. Because then they're going to go into a stock pot and they're going to get cooked the rest of the way. So I'll pop these in the oven, and when they're done, we'll be back. So while we're waiting on the chicken to roast, I was going to kind of get into how I normally do stuff. Usually, when you're making stocks and soups and that kind of thing, you usually go off of the Holy Trinity. This is kind of it comes from various regions. I know it the Cajun way. It's celery, carrots, and onions, and those are your aromatics. They add flavor. They add body to most stocks and soups, and very, very few people don't use some combination of those plus peppers usually, and some other versions. I do things a little differently. For one, I try not to throw anything out, at least not until I get the most out of it. So anytime I peel carrots, I freeze the peels. That's why they look not very appetizing. But yeah, I'll wash the carrots, I'll peel them, and I'll freeze the peels, and I'll show you how we utilize these in the stock, and then getting kind of using celery, kind of not. This is actually celery root that I've sliced thin and dehydrated. You get the same celery flavor, but you don't have to use the stalk. You can use what everybody else knows as celery for other things. Every time I've used it, every time I've used stalks, or the stalks in stocks, they seem to fall apart, and they don't really, other than flavor, they don't really contribute a lot, and I feel like they could be used elsewhere. So I slice these thin. You can get celery root at most big stores. It's not terribly hard to come by. It's either celery root or celerac. I'll try to get that posted on the video spelled right. But you get the same flavor, and I'm going to be putting these and the carrot peels in a cheesecloth and letting them steep in the stock, and then when it's done, I just have to pull that out, and I can get rid of the carrot peels in this, and you can compost them. You can feed them if you've got livestock. You can feed them to those. There's a lot of things you can do with your food scraps besides just pitching them. That brings us to our last two things. It's the onions. I like to use one of each. This is a little smaller than I normally use, but that's what I got. So I'm going to chop these up. It's gonna be a pretty coarse chop. Just because since they're gonna be in the stew as long as they are, if you chop them up too small, they'll fall apart, and they'll be a lot harder to get out of there. Plus, I'm going to be using these onions on sandwiches and stuff after they're done. Again, trying to use everything to its full extent. So yeah, I got these. They're a little green on the inside. You can cut that out if you want, or leave it in there. I usually pull them out because once the stem starts turning green, they kind of get a little more of a bitter flavor. So you can just pop those out. Doesn't take a lot. And if you're good, you can pull the root off with it too. But that doesn't always, yeah. Depending on how you split it, that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Case in point. So, these over here. Okay. And then yeah, for this, I'm just going to cut them into strips. I think if you just, quarter them, I feel like that's too big. You're not using enough surface area. And if you mince them up, it's too small because they'll fall apart. So whatever works for you. That's just my preferences on this kind of thing. So yeah, we got these. And make sure to break them up, because if not, they can just stick together while they're floating in the stock, and they don't really contribute a whole lot that way. So there's that. With the bigger onions, when I'm peeling them, I usually take off the first outer layer too. It just makes it easier. So we got that. See, you can pop the root off, and right around the root is where the onion produces the gases that'll make you cry. Pop that out too. So once you get rid of that, it's really not that bad. It doesn't completely solve the problem, but it does help. It just comes down to, how long have you had your onions, what kind of life they had, as to how hateful they're going to be, how mean they're going to be to you when you're done. So you got that. Okay, so no tears. So yeah, we're going to put that in. I will break those up before they go in. They're just, I needed a bigger bowl. So yeah, we'll get back when the chicken's ready, and we're ready to start the stock. Alright, so took about 45 minutes to get everything the way I wanted it, but everything's got roasted and browned a little bit. Looks good, and you'll see the salt's caked on here. That'll dissolve off when we put it in the stew, or to simmer. Give me a second. Wrong way. So here we've got a stock pot with a strainer. This is just to make it easier after everything's done simmering, to pull it out, as opposed to fishing for everything for a really long time or putting it through a strainer. This kind of makes things a little easier. So this has pretty close to 2 gallons of water. I was just kind of eyeballing it. You can add more, you can add less. It just depends on how concentrated you want your stock to be. So what we're going to do is going to throw all that in. I'm not going to add any salt to this because the chicken's already fairly heavily salted. But yeah, I'll add that stuff in. And if you really want, you can add the drippings. I might add a little bit. Most of that is just fat, and in the long term, you really don't want a ton of fat in your stock. It does give it a little more flavor, But it's, if you're going to be, canning this up or trying to keep it long term, you're going to want to keep, as low or minimal amount of fat and oil in there. Yeah, in the dripping pan, there's quite a bit of olive oil too. So let me change positions, change the camera around so I can show me adding the rest of it. Okay, so like I said earlier, I'm going to be putting the celery root and the carrots in a little muslin bag. This will allow it to mix and blend flavors with the rest of the stock, but at the end you just have to pull it out and compost it or whatever. Makes it a lot easier. You're not chasing itty bitty pieces of stuff all over the place. So I usually try to weigh my stuff out. Makes it a lot more consistent as far as being able to repeat the same stock over and over again. So since these are dehydrated, think concentrated flavor. So that's about ½ ounce of the celery root, dried celery root, and this is about 4, close to 5 ounces of the carrot peels. So we'll go ahead, we'll dump this together, and it seems like it might be a lot of carrot peel, but I mean, it's no thicker than that, so there's a lot of little pieces. If you were to use like a regular sized carrot, you'd only be using like maybe 1 or 2, so it's not a big deal. So you want to try to get this a little centered, get all the corners together, and then try to compact this into a smaller ball. Don't squeeze everything out of it, but you want everything kind of compact. And then like that, and make a little knot like that. And don't pull it like real tight, because you'll want to get that open at some point. I try to reuse the muslin if I can. But yeah, that's all that goes into that. So we'll get back to the stock pot and get everything started. So to this, we're adding about ½ ounce of garlic. I just have these peeled and crushed. I don't mince them up because they tend to stick to the bottom and burn if I do. So I've got that, and then I've got the full onion and then the ½ onion. By weight, I think it's fairly close to £1 pound, but I like onion heavy stocks. So as far as the way that you do your stock, whatever floats your boat. So we'll put that in there, and then get this, put that in there, and let me get a spoon real quick. Alright, so I got my spoon. Try to get everything in there and submerged. Especially you want the little bag submerged. If you have to move the chicken around to do it that way. So there's that, and everything's going to settle a little bit when you get started. So, or after it gets going. So I am going to turn this on to high until it gets to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down to like a medium low, and let it go for a while. And it all kind of boils down to how long you want to deal with it. Anything over an hour or 2 is usually more than enough, from my experience. But if you want to do this like on low all night, you might pull out some more flavor, but after a while, it's kind of overkill. So we'll get that started, and there's the lid. Like that, and let it go. Okay, this has been cooking for a while now, probably 2.5 hours, something like that. So yeah, that's what we got. I had already taken out the bag with the celery root and the carrot peelings in there. So yeah, I'm gonna pull this out, and I fogged up the camera. I'm gonna take this out, drain off the chicken. I'm gonna put it in my big pink bowl. So I'll see if I can get that accomplished. It still has quite a bit of liquid in it, so I'm just gonna set it like this for a little bit to drain, and then I'll dump it into the bowl. Okay, so got the stock right here, and then that's left of the chicken bones and the onions and all that. I'll get back to that in a second. But yeah, this needs a little bit of time to cook. Basically to concentrate. Got it kind of medium-low right now. I'll probably turn it up to medium so it'll reduce enough so I can get rid or put it away before I go to bed. Then this, I'm going to be picking all the meat off of and using it for like taco meat and that kind of thing. I'm going to add some more seasonings and stuff like that. I'm going to pick out the onions too. They're probably going to end up getting used on the tacos and a few other things. So out of all this, really the only thing that I'm going to be getting rid of that I can't use are the bones. So come back when the stock's done and this is all picked out and tie things up.